Swarupam Rupam Tasirajam Uruparim Maturim Gostavatam Radhakundam Girivaram Aho Radhika Madhavasam Prapto Yasya Pradita Kripaya Shri Gurum Tam Natosmi. We're reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Antya-lila, Final Pastimes, Chapter 2. We finished Chapter 1 yesterday. Chapter 1, Jai Shri Gurudev, Chapter 1 was entitled The Visit of Rupa Goswami to Jagannath Puri. I believe Rupa Goswami visited twice. But this visit was was important in the sense that he is recognized by Mahaprabhu publicly as
famous meeting that's taken place where he announced that Rupa shall be my...
Yeah, he didn't really announce it literally as such. Like, there's no famous statement from henceforth Rupa Goswami is the head of the Sampradaya.
In Vrindavan, I believe.
No, we're talking Jagannath Puri.
No, was the meeting in Jagannath Puri?
Yeah.
In the Maharaj talked about it in one of the books.
So I'll just explain briefly what happened, is that Mahaprabhu didn't meet Rupa Goswami in Vrindavan, ever. They first met in Prayag, when Rupa Goswami was on his way to Vrindavan. Mahaprabhu was on his return from Vrindavan. They met in Prayag, and then Mahaprabhu spent 10 days instructing Rupa Goswami at a place called Dasashvamed Ghat in Prayag, and that is known as Rupa Shiksha. That is like chapter 17, 18 or something in Antya-lila. That's Rupa Shiksha. And then Rupa Goswami, he goes to Vrindavan and he spends a little while there. And then he has to return to Bengal to tidy up some financial family affairs. He does that, and then he visits Jagannath Puri for the first time. And he meets it with Mahaprabhu for, well, it's their third meeting, but their second substantial meeting. Because they first met in Ramkali, and then second in Prayag, and then third in Puri. So it's Rupa Goswami's first visit to Jagannath Puri. And he is at that time beginning to follow Mahaprabhu's instructions to write literature on rasa tattva, on bhakti rasa, the sentiments of devotion. And he's writing some plays called the Vidagdha Madhava and the Lalita Madhava. And so then Mahaprabhu introduces him to all the devotees there. He's staying with Haridas Thakur, and Mahaprabhu introduces him to all the Jagannath Puri devotees, such as Ramananda Roy, Swarup Damodar, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and the visiting devotees from Bengal, such as Nityananda Prabhu and etc. And he gets to meet all these devotees, and in their company, Mahaprabhu is praising Rupa Goswami and having him quote from his plays and verses from his compositions as a way of publicly showing the qualification, eligibility of Rupa Goswami to be the head of the Sampradaya. So, without, you could say, saying it literally, at least it's not recorded that way in Chaitanya Charitamrita. There's no literal pronouncement. There's no last will and testament of Mahaprabhu as such.
So it was just among the devotees.
Yeah, well, they were they were the ones that counted, really. Say, the common people didn't really have an interest in the matter. He is showing Rupa Goswami's acquaintancy or expertise in rasa tattva, and the common theme. Or there is two themes here. And one is quite pervasive, and that is the empowerment of Rupa Goswami by Mahaprabhu. So there's a constant, or there's a repeated referral to people saying, oh, Rupa Goswami couldn't produce such wonderful, deep composition. And we're not just talking about poetic style, we're talking about the content of the composition. So even though Mahaprabhu says Rupa Goswami's handwriting is like rows of pearls, and the poetic style and quality of his not just the physical appearance, but the quality of the writing from a poetic perspective is also of top quality, but the content from a perspective of rasa, the understanding of rasa and bhakti tattva, that is also of a superlative quality. So there's three factors, and they're all superlative. And so Mahaprabhu is exhibiting this, and the devotees are saying, without your infusion of mercy of Shakti into Rupa Goswami, this is impossible for someone to grasp such deep elements of bhakti. And the famous verse exhibiting that is Mahaprabhu's verse that he sings in Rath Yatra, and no one could understand it. It's a verse lamenting that, of the gopis lamenting that they could not be with Krishna in Vrindavan, they're meeting him in Kurukshetra. But it's a royal atmosphere, regal atmosphere of Aishwarya, which is not conducive to the Madhura Ras of Vrindavan. So the gopis are lamenting that. Mahaprabhu is quoting this piece of poetry that doesn't mention Krishna and the gopis, doesn't mention Kurukshetra, doesn't mention Vrindavan. So only Swarup Damodar understands. Until Rupa Goswami hears Mahaprabhu chanting it, because he is there for Rath Yatra on this visit, and he writes a poem pretty much explaining what it's about, explaining that it's the sentiment of Srimati Radharani meeting Krishna at Kurukshetra and wanting to bring him back to the intimate, sweet, simple atmosphere of Vrindavan, where the Madhura Ras can be exchanged. So that is one verse that exhibits Rupa Goswami's deep understanding of Mahaprabhu's sentiments, whereas nobody else could. So there are various poignant parts of these meetings in Jagannath Puri between Rupa Goswami and Mahaprabhu where he's exhibiting Rupa Goswami's brilliance and eligibility to be the Sampradaya Acharya. And that's the general gist of the meeting, is that Rupa Goswami is being installed in that way, you could say, recognized in that way. And then it ends with him returning back to Vrindavan after the Dol Yatra, which is a festival that follows sometime after Jagannath Rath Yatra. And with the instructions to continue writing bhakti literature, which he does. Subsequently, he writes the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu and many other literatures, and to establish the worship in line with Mahaprabhu's conception as Mahaprabhu's teaching culture. The Bhagavatam culture of Mahaprabhu, worship in line with that, which was what was done, established at the Radha Govinda temple in Vrindavan, and to rediscover the lost places of Krishna's pastimes, and then to generally to teach people as well. And so Rupa Goswami returns to Vrindavan and continues with those tasks that were given to him by Mahaprabhu. So that's like a synopsis of the chapter that we just finished yesterday. And today we begin chapter 2, which is called The Chastisement of Junior Haridas. And most of us will be familiar with the gist of this pastime. We'll read the summary, which comes from Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary of Chaitanya Charitamrita called Amrita Pravahabhasya. So it says, chapter 2, the chastisement of Junior Haridas. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhaktivinoda. The purport of this chapter is explained by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravahabhasya as follows. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, wanted to explain direct meanings with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, meetings with those empowered by him, and his Avirbhav appearance. Yes, 3 ways Mahaprabhu appears. Thus he described the glories of Nrsimhananda and other devotees. A devotee named Bhagavan Acharya was exceptionally faithful to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nevertheless, his brother Gopal Bhatta Acharya discoursed upon the commentary of impersonalism. This is a different Gopal Bhatta than the Sad Goswami Gopal Bhatta. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami, the secretary of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, forbid Bhagavan Acharya to indulge in hearing that commentary. Later, when Junior Haridas, following the order of Bhagavan Acharya, went to collect alms from Madhavi Devi, he committed an offence by talking intimately with a woman, although he was in the renounced order. Because of this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Junior Haridas despite all the requests of the Lord's stalwart devotees. The Lord did not accept him again. 1 year after this incident, Junior Haridas went to the confluence of the Ganges and the Yamuna, and he committed suicide. In his spiritual body, however, he continued to sing devotional songs, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard them. When the Vaishnavas of Bengal went to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these incidents became known to Swarup Damodar and others. Text 1. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and of all the other preceptors on the path of devotional service. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas and unto the 6 Goswamis, including Sri Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami, Jiva Goswami and their associates. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu, Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees headed by Sri Vastakar. I then offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, Srimati Radharani and all the gopis, headed by Lalita and Vishaka. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gauda Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to the devotees headed by Sri Chaitanya. All glories to the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sarvaloka Udharite Gauda Avatara Nistarera Hetu Tara Trividha Prakara. In his incarnation as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Krishna descended to deliver all the living beings in the 3 worlds, from Brahmalok down to Patalalok. He caused their deliverance in 3 ways. Shakshat darshan arayogya bhakti jive avesha karaye kahan avirbhave. The Lord delivered the fallen souls in some places by meeting them directly, in other places by empowering a pure devotee, and in still other places by appearing before someone himself. Shakshat darshane praya sabha nistarila nakula brahmacharira dehiya avistahaila pradumnan shrimananda age kaila avirbhava loka nistariba e ishvara svabhava. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered almost all the fallen souls by directly meeting them. He delivered others by entering the body of Nakul Brahmachari and by appearing before Nrsimhananda Brahmachari. I shall deliver the fallen souls. This statement characterizes the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in the purport, it talks about the 4 places where Mahaprabhu, or the 3 places, I think there was 4, 4, where Mahaprabhu is always present. So we'll read that quickly. It's just a brief purport. The Lord is always manifested his Avirbhav appearance in the following 4 places. The house of Srimati Sachimata, 1. 2. Wherever Nityananda Prabhu danced in ecstasy. 3. The house of Srivas, when Kirtan was performed. And 4. The house of Raghava Pandit. Lord Chaitanya himself appeared in these 4 places. In this connection, one may consult text 34. So, Kaviraj Goswami is explaining how Mahaprabhu has three methods of appearing. Shakshat. Shakshat means direct. Avirbhav and Shakti. Or Avesh. Avesh. Isn't it? Avesh, yeah. Shakti Avesh, but Avesh. Avesh means empowerment. So, during Mahaprabhu's pastimes, the appearance is Shakshat, direct appearance. We get the verse in Guru Astakam, Shakshat Daritve Nasamasta Shastre, that the Guru is considered directly Krishna. Shakshat means direct. And then Avirbhav, where Mahaprabhu is present but not in his physical form. And it gives the examples here given in the purport, the house of, the kitchen of Sachimata, the dancing of Nityananda Prabhu, the kirtans of Srivas Pandit, and Raghava Pandit, particularly Raghava Pandit's dancing. He's a very good dancer, so Mahaprabhu would be there dancing in the kirtan. And then Avesh, where Mahaprabhu empowers someone, kind of enters into someone, or infuses them with spiritual energy, and it gives the example of Nishramananda, who is the one who, on Mahaprabhu's first journey to Vrindavan, he was doing the service of visualizing the path that Mahaprabhu would take to Vrindavan, and he was creating a beautiful path in his mind, like clearing out the rocks from the road and beautifying it, planting flowers and washing the road, etc., in his mind as a service for Mahaprabhu. And then one day while he was doing this meditation, boom, there was a roadblock. And he's like, what's this about? And then he realized that, Mahaprabhu's not going to be going to Vrindavan this time. And that's, of course, what happened. Mahaprabhu aborted his journey to Vrindavan and returned to Puri. But, so there's three ways Mahaprabhu manifests himself. And then, so we can see, like in the life of Guru Maharaj, he talks about one day he was on Param Gurudev, on his branda in Navadvip, and he is in some meditation on Mahaprabhu, and he feels the presence of Mahaprabhu. Param Gurudev talks about this. And we know that, Gurudev and Guru Maharaj are not in the habit of sentimentality or exaggeration, hyperbole. So he talks about this, the presence of Mahaprabhu coming, being there with him, and he says he was overwhelmed and he was crying and crying and crying. I don't think it's published in any of the books. It's on tape somewhere. And when I was reading this, I thought, this is a very good example of Mahaprabhu's Avirbhav appearing as described here. The Avirbhav appearance of Mahaprabhu. So he's there, not physically perceivable by the senses, but there nonetheless, as he's always in the house of Sachimata, wherever Nityananda Prabhu dances, the kirtans of Srivas Pandit and the dancing of Raghava Pandit, and also with his pure devotees, on his visits to his pure devotees, such as the one that Guru Maharaj talks about. Shakshat darashane saba jagat tarila ekabara ye dekhila se kartarta haila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, anyone in the world who met him even once was fully satisfied and became spiritually advanced. Gauda deshera bhakta gana pratyabda ashiya punaha gauda deshe yaya prabhure milya. Every year, devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and after the meeting, they would return to Bengal. Aranana Deshera Loka Ashi Jagannatha Chaitanya Charana Deki Haila Kritartha. Similarly, people who went to Jagannath Puri from various provinces of India were fully satisfied after seeing the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sapta Dvipera Loka Aranava Kandavasi Deva Gandharva Kinara Manushya Veshi Asi. People from all over the universe, including the 7 islands, the 9 khandas, the planets of the demigods Gandharva Loka and Kinara Loka, would go there in the forms of human beings. Prabhure Dikiyaya Vaishnavahana Krishna Bale Natje Sabha Prema Vishtahana. Having seen the Lord, they all became Vaishnavas, and thus they danced and chanted the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in ecstatic love of Godhead. E Mata Darshane Tri Jagat Nistari Ye Keha Asite Nare Aneka Samsari. Thus, by direct meetings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the 3 worlds. Some people, however, could not go and were entangled in material activities. Tasaba tarite Prabhu se sabadeshe yogya bhakta jiva dehi karina aveshe. To deliver people in regions throughout the universe who could not meet him, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally entered the bodies of pure devotees. Se jive nija bhakti karina prakashe tahara darshane vaishnav haya sarvadeshe. Thus he empowered living beings, his pure devotees, by manifesting in them so much of his own devotion that people in all other countries became devotees by seeing them. E mata aveshe tarila tribhuvana goda yaiche avesha karitik darashana. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered the entire 3 worlds, not only by his personal presence, but also by empowering others. I shall briefly describe how he empowered a living being in Bengal. Ambuya muluke haya nakula brahmachari param vaishnav tenho pada adhikari. In Ambuya Muluka there was a person named Nakula Brahmachari, who was a perfectly pure devotee, greatly advanced in devotional service. Gauda Deshera Loka Nistariti Manahaila Nakula Hridaye Prabhu Avesha Karila. Desiring to deliver all the people of Bengal, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu entered the heart of Nakula Brahmachari. Grahagrasta Praya Nakula Prema Vistahana Hase Kande Nache Gaya Unmatahana. Nakula Brahmachari became exactly like a man haunted by a ghost. Thus he sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes danced, and sometimes chanted like a madman. Ashrukampa Stamba Sveda Satvika Vikara Nirantara Preme Nritya Sagana Hunkara. He continuously exhibited bodily transformations of transcendental love. Thus he cried, trembled, became stunned, perspired, danced in love of Godhead, and made sounds like those of a cloud. A cloud.
A cloud?
Yeah,
What are the
cloud.
sounds of a cloud?
Maybe thunderous sounds.
Prabhu,
I don't know.
question. These various forms of appearing of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are
Yeah.
of when he was living or after he departed? From
Both.
this world?
Because Shakshat is only when he was living, but the other 2 anytime. Shakshat means his physical appearance.
But the other 2 could happen when he was present?
Yeah, or afterwards. As I was explaining with Guru Maharaj, when he talks about Mahaprabhu visiting him, Mahaprabhu's feeling Mahaprabhu's presence right next to him, then that is, according to the definitions given here, that is Avirbhav.
But then another question, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Krishna and Radha combined?
Well, is Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani, but yes, some Krishna and Radha combined.
What happened to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu once he departed from our material world?
What happened, like physically?
Yeah.
Well, it said that he disappeared he entered the body of the Tota Gopinath, deity of Gadadhar Pandit.
But like after that?
Well, it's a mystical disappearance.
Yeah.
So you're saying, like, if Mahaprabhu enters the body of the deity and merges with the deity, then after that, what do you mean after that?
My question is more general. I mean, to any incarnation of Krishna, what happened to them after they depart our material world? Their incarnation exist eternally.
Yeah, the lila is eternal.
Yeah.
The lila is known as Antya-lila, which means eternal lila.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always continuing on planes of existence that are not necessarily physically visible.
Mm-hmm.
And for instance, at the end of his commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that, and this is a commonly understood principle, but this is just one place that it's stated, says that the Leela of Mahaprabhu is always continuing in Navadvip Dham. It's always there in Navadvip Dham, but it's on a vibrational frequency that is not detectable by materialistic people.
Mm-hmm.
So the saying is to have the eyes to see it. To have it means basically to have the spiritual adhikar, or spiritual qualification to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be seen with spiritual vision,
Mm-hmm.
spiritual eyes, so to speak. But it's always going on. It's just a matter of being able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
So if Mahaprabhu disappears from a particular plane of vision, that does not mean the Leela ceases, and the Leela will only restart again the next day of Brahma. It may restart again on the physical, it may again be re-expressed the next day of Brahma, which is 4.32 billion years. But that's only on a particular plane of vision. It is eternally continuing.
And what about the other worlds?
Yeah, it's possible. Why not? The Leela is infinite, so it's not confined to just one particular domain, one loka, planet.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible, but
The same Mahaprabhu manifesting in other worlds.
why not?
We don't know.
We don't know. Yeah, I mean, it would just be to try and say where and when would be speculative. So the Shastra.
It's travelling roadshow. We would say travelling roadshow.
Yeah, I heard that also
Yeah,
once.
yeah.
Traveling
Appearing, like a circus will appear in this town, or the band of gypsies will appear, then he's turning up in different places. Something like that.
Well, the Shastra does give some indication, says that Mahaprabhu appears. Mahaprabhu is known as the Kali Yuga avatar. But the full-fledged expression of Mahaprabhu, the full-fledged Mahaprabhu as Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani, tasting Srimati Radharani's bhava, her mood, devotion. That only happens once every, 1,000 Kali Yugas.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah.
wow.
Once every 1,000 yuga cycles. So a day of Brahma is 1,000 yuga cycles. 4.32 billion years. The Kali Yuga is 432,000. You times that by 10 to get a yuga cycle. It's 4.32 million. And then you times that by 1,000, and that goes into the billions, 4.32 billion.
As Mahaprabhu is coming this age, then this is that time.
Yes, that's why it's considered a very fortunate time.
Right.
And who was it who was talking about the golden age recently? Was it Devashish Prabhu was on his talk a couple of weeks ago?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about the golden age, right? Yeah, on Saturday before last. 2.5 weeks ago. Talking about a golden age. And it has been kind of referred to by Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada talked about it a little bit. The idea being that Mahaprabhu's appearance is not an ordinary Kali Yuga avatar appearance, but it's one where there's a full dispensation of the supreme sentiment, spiritual sentiment, Mahabhav of Srimati Radharani. So, basically, Kali Yuga being the lowest age, but there's an amnesty which is so broad, so profound, that one can go from the lowest age to the very highest pinnacle of spiritual reality quite quickly, like on a special transit, special train service, so to speak.
Yeah, we got lost.
So that's, considered like a golden age, not necessarily that people will live in a utopia, as in a kind of paradise, where from a material perspective everything will be utopian, ideal. That might not necessarily be the case. But that one can, let's say, go from, serving a life sentence in prison to being the freest person in an entire civilization. So one can go from a very low place to the highest possible place in reality as it's seen by the theistic conception of God.
What Prabhu, you
So,
said?
yeah. So, just back to the point. But that is what the scripture says about Mahaprabhu's appearance, that it will happen every day of Lord Brahma, every 4.32 billion years. In that way. But also, on a spiritual level, it is going on eternally. So the pastimes are not uninterrupted. There's an eternal flow of Mahaprabhu's Leela, and that's why devotees of Mahaprabhu can enter into that if they qualify for that. And that is how Mahaprabhu's Avirbhav appearance will work. If it's not like Mahaprabhu enters into the total Gopinath deity and that's it, there's no more Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu until Brahma's next day comes along. It's going on eternally. So it's just a matter of accessing that plane of consciousness, or that reality really, in which it is manifesting itself, in which it is playing.
I'm not quite sure, Prabhu. You said every 1,000 yugas
Yuga cycles, yeah.
he would appear in the mood of Radharani. It means in other yugas he would appear in another mood?
It appears just the plain Yuga avatar to spread the chanting of the holy name, not to taste the mood of Srimati Radharani.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's extra special Mahaprabhu.
Yes.
Oh, I see. These cycles, these yugas, we happen the same way in other worlds, in other universes. And it means this could also happen there.
I don't know about other universes. The Bhagavatam deals, when Bhagavan talks about Yuga cycles, it's pertaining to this universe,
Okay.
which is known as Bhumandala. So no, the time scales in other universes are different. So I would say, without looking into it further, I'd say no, because the time scales are different. You have the story in the Bhagavatam about, I forget the exact players, but the person goes to the heavenly planets and he has a conversation. Some earth dweller goes to the heavenly planets and has a conversation there, and about earthly affairs, and then goes to return back after this conversation. They go, well, but the situation's all changed down there. 10,000 years have gone by, or however many, like a couple of generations have passed. You've only been up here an hour or so, but
300 years or 500
yeah.
years or whatever's gone by.
Yeah, because that's how it's seen, because a day of Brahma is 4.32 billion years. So if he was up there, let's say in Brahmaloka, someone went to Brahmaloka for half an hour, then it would be 1/48th of 4.32 billion years. That's a long time.
Thousands of years would have passed here.
Yeah. So our Kali Yuga is only a small fraction of Brahma's day. But of course, Brahma is at the very top of the Mayak domain. So the time scales are the longest. That's why they're given as Brahma's, they're measured in Brahma's time, because that's the longest time scale of the Maya Shakti, the Mayic domain. But then as it comes down and down and down, the time scales decrease and decrease. As the consciousness, basically the idea is that as the consciousness becomes more and more entangled into matter, then the time cycles become shorter and shorter, the lifespans become shorter and shorter. So you get like an amoeba living for a few seconds, or small insects. They live for a day. But if you were to go into their consciousness, they're living to them it's kind of a long life. It's a full life. They're growing up, they're having their various pastimes, they're having children, they're living, for them it's a full life. But because their consciousness is so low, it's compared to us with more developed consciousness, we're looking at it and we're going, it's kind of sad. So beings of higher consciousness look at us and go, 70, 80 years with this low level of awareness and intellect, and it's just sad. And in a sense it is, and that's the whole idea of that. This is not an ideal place to be, because it's kind of, other beings look at it. Even inside the material universe, other beings from the heavenly planets look at it, and it's kind of laughable and pathetic, our condition here. Very low intellect, very short lifespans. Like insects in comparison to us.
Yeah, it's relative time and condensed or refracted time. And there's, like the Buddhists often use this wheel of life, the wheel of samsara, in the material sphere. And so there's outside the gods, the longest living, the orbit is the greatest. And then it gets less and less as it goes into the center, in the relativity of time. So as you said, 5 minutes for the demigods is like 500 years here or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Different time scales, depending on the consciousness, the level of consciousness. But of course, time only exists in the Maya Shakti. So we get these very long time scales of Brahma, who's the chief living entity in the Mayic domain. But that's kind of the beginning conception of time. You go beyond Maya, and there's no time. There may be a sense of time, but it's only there for Lila. It exists for Lila. There's no time in terms of like eras that bring that cause a death experience or etc.
Eternal now, I suppose.
No time, no space. These are the essential fundamental limitations of life in an illusory environment. You say life inside Maya's domain, inside the Maya Shakti, illusory energy. There needs to be time and there needs to be space, because those are the first themes that encapsulate the jiva, consciousness. Consciousness is eternal, and it is sat chit, right? Chit means conscious awareness, complete knowledge. Sat, eternality, chit, these fundamental qualities of consciousness. So when consciousness enters illusion, immediately themes antithetical to consciousness have to cover the soul, have to cover the jiva. And time and space are the first ones, the first basic themes upon which all of the other details and constructions of life inside the Maya Shakti are built upon. The limitations of time and space. Because if you didn't have limitations of time and space, you'd be pretty much free, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be constrained by time. There'd be no death. And space, there'd be no constriction of the body. Or, you can only see so far, hear so far, taste so much, feel, etc. Everything's so limited by space. We're limited by the space of this body, or by the space of the mind, the limitations of the mind. So, of course, as you free yourself from the mind and the body, etc., then you move closer towards the natural condition of the soul, which is chit, full consciousness. but still is a constriction initially of the ego. So as soon as the soul enters into the Maya Shakti and the ego means a separate identity, develops an illusory identity, immediately concepts of time and space begin to develop. Limitations, essentially concepts of limiting concepts. Time meaning that you're going to have to experience death, which is unnatural. So as soon as you, like we're touching on the talk on Monday night with Madhusudan Maharaj, that death is an immediate byproduct of exploitation. So as soon as the Atma, the soul, decides to exploit, it enters into the realm where exploitation can be done, which is the Mayic realm, the Maya Shakti. And then concomitant to that immediately comes ideas of death, the death experience, the death phenomenon, which is completely unnatural to consciousness because consciousness does not die, never can die. As the Gita says, it's impossible for it to be extinguished. It can't be burnt, withered by the wind, gives all sorts of examples of how physical matter can deteriorate or be damaged or extinguished, but none of them apply to consciousness. It's Sat, it's eternal.
What is the correlation between death and exploitation? I didn't get it, I'm sorry.
Well, as soon as the Atma, the soul, desires to exploit, rather than give in love, decides to exploit, then that is what the Mayic realm is designed for, to house consciousness with that desire, to house the Atma, the Jiva souls, Jivatmas, with the desire to exploit. So it's like, all right, go into this area, this is where you can do that. But concomitant, immediate to that, intrinsically like connected to that, is the first reaction is, all right, but you must die.
As
because
punishment, or what do you mean?
As karma, this is known as karma.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You must experience the death phenomenon.
As a result of exploitation.
Yeah, why? Because exploitation means you're taking you're taking from another person, you're taking from the environment.
You must be taken also your life.
You experience the opposite of that. And this is the whole paradox of enjoyment in the Mayic domain, is that inside everything you perceive it to give, that you perceive to give pleasure, you label something as capable of giving you pleasure. Inside of it is the seed of its opposite. And that's how karma works. So life here cannot be lived without taking from the environment. And so the Bhagavatam talks about the bigger creatures eating the smaller creatures. You take the life of another creature to support your own life. And that is what exploitation is based upon. Taking from something else, someone else, for your own benefit. So they suffer a loss, perhaps a loss of life. So immediately the basic concept is that if you want to exploit, then you will have to lose. But the seed, the opposite of, for instance, like we can see it, it's described sometimes as like a light, right? The light can, without a light you'll be blind, without any kind of light. You can't see anything. But then too much light will make you blind as well. Like the brightest light will blind just as much as the darkest dark, right? And heat will burn you, but too much cold, the coldest cold will burn you as well. So inside, everything is its opposite quality in the Mayic domain. So nothing is actually as it seems. You go for something because you perceive it to have a certain quality, but inside of that is also its opposite quality. So inside of love in this world is also hate.
We know that.
Right? And inside of money is also poverty. People pursue so much money and they lose their inner wealth. So everything that we identify as valuable, worthy of our pursuit, identify as something that can cause us happiness, in it is an intrinsic ability to turn into its opposite and cause us distress. And that's how karma works. You pursue something and you get an equal but opposite reaction until you realize that this whole world is a wild goose chase. Trying to find pleasure in it is a wild goose chase.
Yeah, it's the same side, the same coin but it has a dual thing, like the matras patras kontia, the world of opposites, of happiness and sadness, and hot and cold, and left and right, and the world of duality. And it's really the same coin, but one thing has to have two sides. Has two sides. So that's the world of duality, where the spiritual world is non-dual. There's only one. It's non-dual. Whereas the material world is duality.
Well, the spiritual world is unity and diversity.
Yeah.
So, although it's non-dual, it's also dual. That's known as achintya beta. So one yet, the jiva being one yet different from Krishna. So it's a little different to the Advaitin conception where everything is just one. But yes, it's one yet there's unity and diversity. That's the way of putting it. But it's true what you say. It's like a coin with two sides to it. Up to one coin, but two opposites, qualities, pleasure and pain existing in every item. But the whole idea is that the whole idea of karma, of this process, or of this phenomenon of Maya Shakti having its opposite in all items, containing the opposite of what they appear to be, is designed as an educational system. It's not designed as a system of punishment. It's designed as a system of education.
Corrective.
Yes. So one can be educated to know that there's no happiness, no lasting happiness. Happiness must necessarily alternate with distress and unhappiness. All right.
It's actually a merciful arrangement like that, isn't it? It's merciful that it's not a punishment done out of a nasty motive. And that's important for a devotee to try to adjust to. That it's like a loving parent, adjusting their children, through the service development. That we learn. That it's not here.
Yeah, sure. There's nothing vindictive about it, or cruel. In fact, it is the perfect prescription. You know the verse, Tat tenu kampam susamikshimano. Yeah, that one. Spoken by Lord Brahma spoke that, to Krishna. And that is an expression that was a sloka that was quoted by Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, in that the best attitude is to have one of gratitude. Tat nukampam punjane vadmakritam vakam hridvag vapubiya vidadan namaste to jiveti mukti padesavak. So that spiritual emancipation, liberation, progress will come if you can hold an attitude of gratitude towards your circumstance, recognizing that the karma that you have is a perfect prescription for your condition. It's a tailor-made prescription. It's not like a generic pill that's given to everyone with a particular condition, as the healthcare system does these days. You got this, here's a pill. But it's a bespoke medicine. You would go perhaps to a very good Ayurvedic doctor, and they would diagnose your particular condition, and they'd get this herb and that herb in certain quantities, and then make up a medical preparation specifically for your condition. So the idea behind the verse is that our karmic circumstances are a bespoke, tailor-made karmic preparation, medical preparation that is specific to our karmic condition. And that is why Guru Maharaj says that there's no quarrel with the environment. That is the environment that we've got. It's our karma. And there is no quarrel with the environment. Why? Because it's a perfect prescription. It's exactly what we need at any given time for our growth. It's like a tailor-made, another way it could be described is an educational lesson rather than just a blanket curriculum. You've got a private tutor that has constructed lessons, right, specifically for you, for where you are, where you're stuck on any particular subject. So it's tailored, it's constructed perfectly for you. So the verse Tat Tenu Kampam says, be grateful for that. You've found yourself in this condition as a result of your actions. It hasn't been a product of random chance. It hasn't been a result of some vindictive higher power. You have performed actions that have set in force motions that have generated this circumstance, but this circumstance is perfect right now for what you need to learn from that, to grow from that, to disentangle yourself. So that's why Guru Maharaj says the problem, of course, lies within, not with the environment. And the verse is expressing that it's a perfect, tailor-made preparation, medicine for you right now. And if you can be grateful to recognize that, and if you can be grateful as a result of recognizing that, then jiveta yo mukti padesa dayabhak. Very quickly you will be released from the whole karmic web. Will happen very quickly as a result of that attitude. Yeah, by recognizing that, yeah. Because with the recognition of that comes action based on that. By understanding that your karmic condition is perfect for you, you've received a perfect prescription. And if you can understand that, then very quickly you will be released from the karmic environment.
Is it that once we are given the opportunity to serve, to do devotional service, and we understand how lucky we are, this is when we are liberated from karma? Is it how it has to be understood?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Yeah. Hrid vag vahubir vidadan namaste. So one offers respects, namaste, hrid with their heart, vag with their speech, hrid vag vapu with their body, hrid vag vahubir vidadan namaste. Jiveta yo mukti padesa dayabhak. Yeah. So when one realizes that the situation they're in, the karmic situation, is perfect for them, and is done as a means for them to escape, to rectify, to move away from all the difficulties and anxieties for their own benefit, essentially. When that is recognized, then they act with, as the verse says, with words, consciousness, heart, words, body, offering their actions. So yeah, devotional service. That's devotional service. But that's premised on recognizing that your karmic circumstance is perfect for you. It's a perfect medicine for you. So there's no complaining about the environment. It's a grateful acceptance of one's circumstance in life. And then there's no more emotional bond to this world. The emotion, if one has resentment or is dissatisfied with one's circumstance, then that's an emotional bond with this world. Or if one is particularly, the flip side, if one is particularly attached to one's circumstance, the body one has, or whatever, the assets that one has, that's also an emotional bond that connects one to the cycle of karma, and essentially the cycle of samsara.
If one is attached to what?
If one is attached to the physical world, or whatever they have, whatever assets they have, the body, mind, money, whatever. So both aversion and attachment will create a bond, a link to Maya, which then must be worked out at a later date. But that verse, the Tateno Kampam verse, the essential lesson of it is to just to accept with gratitude what one has and act, offer respects to God, and very soon, as a result of that, detachment will come, and with that detachment one gets disentangled from the Mayak domain, Mayak environment.
It does take our Guru's mercy to become aware of that, though. We've been brought, like by our Guru's grace, essentially to understand how we got it and to an understanding of our circumstances, because we were all blind fools previously. But if you stick at it, devotional service will give you all the answers. So it takes grace to come to the stage of understanding. That.
It's a good point. Fortunately, I have a Sanskrit class at 8:30, and I have to go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Dandavat.
Yeah, Dandavat. Very thoughtful.
Someone gonna sing Hari Haraya?
No?
Sing Hari Haraya.
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah
Hari Haraya Namah Krishna Yadavaya Namah
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah
Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha.
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana
Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudana.
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohana
Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan.
Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra
Sri Chaitanya Nityananda Sri Advaita Chandra.
Radharani Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda
Radharani Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda.
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha
Jai Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunatha.
Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath
Sri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunath.
Jai Goshai Kori Charana Vandana
Jai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana.
Jahawati Vignana Shabishta Puran
Jai Devinana Kavita Puran.
Jai Goshai Jamui Taradasa
Jai Gosai Kori Chana Monida.
Sabara Padarenu Mora Panchagash
Dandaratana Sevi Bhakta Sanibhas.
Harira Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibhas
Dandaratana Sevi Bhakta Sanibhas.
Janame Janame More Abhilash
Janame Janame More Abhilash.
Jai Goshai Jabe Bhaje Koilabas
Jai Gosai Rama Kore Bhas.
Radha Krishna Nitya-lila Korila Prakash
Shri Radha Krishna Nitya-lila Korila Prakash.
Anande Bola Hari Bhaja Vrindavana
Anande
Jai Saparikar Shishi Guru Garanga.